Big injury news in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is going to miss the next 2 weeks with a quad strain, at least the next 2 weeks. And if it were to be exactly 2 weeks, that would be 4 games that she is going to miss at minimum.
And I have to say that I did notice in the Liberty game, Caitlin Clark's shots were all very short. So it was showing that she wasn't like getting off and she was having a difficult time making those threes, and a lot of explosiveness from those 3-point shots does come from your legs.
This is actually an injury that was separate from the quad tightness issue, as Caitlin Clark described it earlier in the preseason, that she dealt with before. So it's a little bit of an interesting situation given that it was the same leg, but the team is saying it is actually a new injury.
In a split second, the WNBA's golden era came crashing down. Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest draw, the rookie rewriting history in real time, went down hard after a brutal foul that left fans stunned and doctors deeply concerned. The Fever called it a quad injury. Out for at least 2 weeks, they said. But behind the scenes, the whispers are getting louder. Rumors are swirling that Clark's injury might be way more serious than anyone's admitting. And according to insiders, some of the very doctors treating her are now calling for the WNBA to investigate the officiating that led to this moment. That's right. Medical professionals are reportedly demanding that the league finally hold its referees accountable for the reckless hits Clark's been taking all season. This wasn't just bad luck. This might be the direct result of months of ignored warning signs, unchecked physicality, and a system that allowed its biggest star to be targeted game after game. Was this a freak injury, or was Caitlin Clark set up to fail by the very league she was saving? Because what we're uncovering now, from neglected symptoms to explosive rumors and a tidal wave of fan outrage, might be the beginning of a full-blown WNBA reckoning. It happened in the blink of an eye, but the impact sent shockwaves across the entire sports world. During what should have been a routine drive to the basket, Caitlin Clark got leveled. Not bumped, not grazed. She was hit hard, sent crashing to the floor with her leg twisting awkwardly beneath her. The crowd went dead silent, and then the boos started pouring in. Replays showed exactly what fans feared. A defender stepping in late, delivering what many are calling a dirty foul. High contact, full body, and zero intention of playing the ball. Clark stayed down longer than usual. Wincing as trainers rushed over, it was immediately clear something was wrong. And while the ref blew the whistle, it was too little, too late. This wasn't the first time Caitlin had taken hits like this, but it might be the one that finally broke her down. Within hours, the Fever confirmed the worst. Clark was out with a left quad injury and would miss at least 2 weeks, possibly more depending on reevaluation. Fans exploded online, not just because their favorite player was hurt, but because the warning signs were there. And nobody did a thing to stop it. But was this injury just bad luck? Or was Clark already playing hurt long before this moment? And now there are rumors swirling, not from trolls or random fans, but from people close to the situation, that Caitlin Clark's injury might be way more serious than the WNBA is letting on. Multiple sources have hinted that doctors who evaluated Clark were deeply concerned about how much damage had already been done to her quad before that final hit. Some are even saying that had she kept playing, the injury could have escalated into something season-ending, or worse, career-threatening. But here's where it gets even more shocking. According to these whispers, medical professionals have privately urged the WNBA to launch a formal review of the officiating in Clark's games, specifically how often she's been allowed to take hard contact without foul calls. Let that sink in. Doctors are now allegedly calling out the referees. If that's true, the league might not just be dealing with a player injury. They could be staring down a full-blown scandal. Let's talk about the red flags everyone ignored. The truth is, this injury didn't come out of nowhere. In fact, the signs were blinking red for weeks, and the league, the team, and even the fans, they all looked the other way. Clark missed the Fever's preseason opener with what the team called left quad tightness. That's the same leg that gave out during this latest game. Yet after a few days off, she was thrown back into action. Full minutes, full contact, full expectations. And during those first few games, something felt off. Her explosiveness wasn't there. Her deep shots started falling short. At one point, cameras even caught her on the bench, wrapping her leg in heat packs during the game, a move no healthy player makes mid-battle. Coach Stephanie White later admitted that she didn't even know when Clark got injured. The team only found out something was seriously wrong after. Caitlin herself spoke up post-game. Think about that. Clark had to tell them she was in pain. She was hiding it, playing through it, taking hits night after night while pretending she was fine. Because let's be honest, the pressure to perform, was never higher. And all of this raises one massive question. Was Caitlin Clark already injured before that dirty foul even happened? We're about to dive into how physical play and lack of protection may have pushed her body over the edge. Some are calling it just part of the game, but anyone who's been watching Caitlin Clark this season knows this wasn't a one-time hit. This has been building. From her very first day game, Clark has been the target of excessive contact. Defenders grab her off the ball, bump her on screens, and deliver hard fouls that seem to go unnoticed, or worse, unpunished. Every single night, she's dealing with a level of physicality that borders on reckless. And yet, the refs? Silent. No flagrant calls, no ejections, no real deterrent. Meanwhile, other stars in the league, vets with years of experience, get whistle protection for half the contact. But Clark? She's expected to tough it out. Rookie or not, she's treated like she hasn't earned the right to be defended fairly. This isn't just basketball, it's targeting. The kind of play that chips away at a body game after game until something finally gives. And now it has. Fans aren't stupid. They see it. The missed calls, the inconsistency, the double standard. And with Clark being the face of the league, people are starting to ask, why is the WNBA allowing their biggest star to get beat up every night and doing nothing about it? But it's not just about the referees anymore, because now the entire business model of the league is being tested. Let's not sugarcoat it. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's the reason the WNBA is in headlines, on primetime TV, and selling out arenas coast to coast. She's the engine driving the league's momentum. And now, that engine just stalled. Clark's games have shattered viewership records. Her jersey flies off shelves. Tickets to see her live have been selling for NBA-level prices. Sponsors lined up the moment she was drafted, and cities like Baltimore and Chicago literally moved their fever matchups to bigger venues, just to handle the demand. But within hours of her injury announcement, all of that came crashing down. Refund requests started pouring in. Teams that banked on Clark's presence are now staring at thousands of empty seats. The Chicago Sky had moved their matchup to the massive United Center. Now they're facing the embarrassment of airing a nationally televised game in a half-empty arena. The panic is real. Executives are scrambling behind closed doors. Broadcasters are already bracing for a steep ratings drop. Advertisers who paid top dollar for Clark-featured games are rethinking deals. Because the truth is simple. The WNBA hitched its entire future to one player, and now she's sidelined. They bet the house on Caitlin Clark and never bothered to protect her. But as the business world scrambles, another storm was brewing online, one that revealed something much uglier beneath the surface. The moment Caitlin Clark's injury went public, the internet lit up, and not in the way you'd hope. While real basketball fans were heartbroken, another side of the WNBA fan base showed its true colors, and it was disgusting. Instead of concern or support, parts of social media exploded with celebration. Posts mocking Clark, tweets cheering her absence, entire threads dedicated to ridiculing a 23-year-old who just got seriously hurt playing the game she loves. And let's be honest, this wasn't random trolling. A lot of it came from rival fan bases, especially those aligned with teams like the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese. The same people who always say, we don't hate Caitlin, we just hate her fans. They were now openly gloating over her being out. You could scroll the quote tweets on Indiana Fever's injury announcement and see it for yourself. Smiley faces, party emojis, and sarcastic jokes about her being soft or faking it. It wasn't just one or two bad takes. It was waves of toxic comments. And here's the most chilling part. This behavior connects directly to the way Clark has been treated on the court all season. She's been allowed to get hit, shoved, and harassed every game. And now that she's hurt, the message from some fans is clear. Good. She deserved it. This isn't just rivalry, it's a targeted campaign of hate against the most important player in the league, and the WNBA's failure to step in, it didn't just hurt Clark. It empowered this toxicity. But it's not just the fans who failed her. The silence from leadership has been even louder. While social media melted down and rival fans reveled in Caitlin Clark's injury, one voice was noticeably absent, the WNBA itself. No public support. No statement from Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. No warning to teams. No crackdown on the escalating physicality targeting their brightest star. Nothing. It's a silence that speaks volumes, and it's been building all season long. Refs have let things slide. Hard fouls go unpunished. Opposing players get away with grabbing, pushing, and slamming Clark to the floor. And the worst part? The inconsistency is glaring. Clark gets called for minor contact, sometimes for barely breathing on defenders, while opponents are allowed to play like it's street ball. That double standard didn't just cost the Fever points, it cost the WNBA their top attraction. and fans have noticed. If this was Sabrina or Diana or Aja, they say, would the whistles still stay silent? The answer seems obvious. Even coach Stephanie White hinted at the deeper issue, admitting she didn't know how bad Clark's condition was because players like her often hide pain just to stay on the court. Why? Because when you're treated like a target, showing weakness isn't an option. The league had every chance to step in. After the preseason injury, after the cheap shots, after the viral clips of Clark taking elbows to the face without a call. But they didn't. They let it slide, again and again, until her body finally gave out. Now, they're watching the fallout of their own negligence. But while the WNBA scrambles to do damage control, what about the Indiana Fever? With their superstar sidelined, they're facing a brutal stretch of games, and the numbers without Clark aren't pretty. With Caitlin Clark out, the Indiana Fever suddenly look like a completely different team, and not in a good way. Her absence isn't just noticeable, it's devastating. The numbers don't lie. With Clark on the court, the Fever's offensive rating sits at a solid 107.5. Without her, it plummets to a disastrous 82.2. That's not a dip, that's a free fall. Clark doesn't just score, she creates. Her floor vision, court spacing, and ability to draw defenders make everyone around her better. Now that safety net is gone, and the pressure is on every single player to step up fast, head coach Stephanie White is already trying to adjust. She's talked about shifting the emphasis in their offense. Translation? It's time for the rest of the roster to prove they're not just supporting characters in the Caitlin Clark show. First up, Aaliyah Boston. Last year's Rookie of the Year is now the go-to option inside. Boston had been thriving off pick and rolls with Clark, but now the team plans to increase her post touches, getting her back to that dominant low-block style she excelled at in college. Next, Kelsey Mitchell. She's been Indiana's most consistent scorer outside of Clark, and now she inherits the playmaking load too. More touches, more pressure, more eyes on her. If she delivers, she could prove she's more than just a shooter. But if she struggles, the Fever's offense could completely stall. Role players like Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, and veterans like Natasha Howard were brought in for depth. Now they're being thrown into the fire. No more hiding behind Clark's star power. It's time to produce, or the season slips away fast. And the schedule? It's not doing them any favors. Washington, Connecticut, Chicago, all tough opponents, all gunning for wins while the Fever try to figure out who they are without their leader. This is more than just a test of talent. It's a test of identity, and if they don't find answers fast, things could spiral like quick. But this isn't just Indiana's crisis. What this injury exposed about the WNBA as a whole might be even more dangerous. Caitlin Clark's injury didn't just sideline a player. It exposed the uncomfortable truth the WNBA has tried to hide. The entire league is built on one superstar, one draw, one storyline, one golden goose holding everything together, and now she's gone. Let's be real, the ratings spike? That was Clark. The sold-out arenas, Clark, the jersey sales, the national headlines, the ESPN deals, the sold-out merch stands, all Clark. When 2.7 million people tuned in to watch Indiana play Chicago, it wasn't because of some sudden surge in general WNBA interest. It was because Caitlin Clark was on the floor. And now that she's not, the fallout is already happening. CBS Sports and other networks are bracing for major viewership drops. Teams that built marketing campaigns around Clark are panicking behind the scenes. Sponsors who paid premium rates for her games are suddenly reevaluating their deals. And attendance projections for upcoming Fever road games? Down. In some cases, way down. This wasn't a league-wide boom. It was a Clark bubble, and one injury just popped it. Instead of using Clark's momentum to build a deeper foundation, the WNBA gambled everything on one rookie to carry the weight of an entire league. They didn't spread the spotlight. They didn't develop multiple stars. They let the house stand tall on shaky ground. And now, it's crumbling. But what's worse, this entire situation was preventable. Proper rest after her preseason strain, better officiating to deter the constant targeting, a medical staff more proactive in spotting the warning signs. They could have protected her. They didn't. Now, they're watching ratings slip, arenas empty out, and a growing list of angry fans asking one brutal question. Did the WNBA just destroy its best chance at going mainstream by refusing to protect the very player who got them there? This wasn't just an injury. It was a flashing red warning light, a siren blaring for everyone in the league office, the locker rooms, the media booths. Caitlin Clark is out and the ripple effects are massive. But let's not pretend this was some freak accident. It was the result of weeks, months of neglect. The WNBA had a generational superstar fall into its lap, and instead of protecting her, they threw her to the wolves. They let defenders take shots with no consequences. They let toxic fan bases fester without pushback. They stayed silent when she was bruised, beaten, and harassed, all while carrying the league's momentum on her shoulders. And now, they're paying the price. This is what happens when a league fails to recognize its own value, when it gets a ticket to the big stage, but fumbles the opportunity by clinging to old habits and weak leadership. The media spun this like Clark would save the WNBA, but she can't save anything if she's broken on the floor. And now, they'll have to find out the hard way what this league looks like without her. But here's what gives fans hope. Caitlin Clark isn't done. This break might be the pause she needed. For the first time, she'll get to step back, study the game from a different angle, and heal properly. And when she returns, she'll be smarter, stronger, and more dangerous than ever. The Indiana Fever will be battle-tested. The spotlight will shift. Other players will rise. And maybe, just maybe, the WNBA will finally understand the cost of neglecting its stars. Let's just hope the next time a generational talent shows up, the league protects her like the future depends on it. Because it does. Drop a "get well soon" CC in the comments if you're rooting for Caitlin's comeback. And if you think the WNBA needs to do better, hit that like button so the message gets louder. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story isn't over.